Welcome to the Outtake Show. This is the film podcast where we talk about all things within movie and TV. You're joined by myself, Junior, and my co-host here, Maz is in the building, but we're here with a very special guest. We've got a writer, director, Akinola Davies Jr. in the building with us to discuss his director debut, My Father's Shadow. Now, this film is a semi-bio film. I'll say semi-bio. I think it's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah, you can say that.
Set in Nigeria in the early 90s, set a course of one day following a father heading to Lagos with his two sons during the most important election in Nigerian history.
Mm.
Akinola, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good, It's been
What
all
can you,
right. The weather's not the best, but it's London. That's
hey,
London
man,
for
yeah, what can you do, man?
you. Gloomy
Great for
sky.
filming, but it's not
Yeah,
great for
yeah, for sure,
yeah,
for sure. Akinola, I've been watching a bunch of different interviews with yourself
yeah,
these last couple of days. And one thing I've noticed between all the interviews is the accolades you had with this film. Countless accolades, of course, it being mentioned being one of the first Nigerian films to be in Cannes, but also winning a special is it jury
yeah,
award as
yeah, yeah.
well. Then recently winning awards, of course, from BAFTA for Biffa and of course from Gotham for Best Director and Breakthrough Director. With all these accolades, all these awards being presented to you before the actual film is actually released, how does that feel? Have you had any time to actually take it all in before this film actually comes out to the general public?
Yeah, no, firstly, thank you, man. It's sometimes in the process when you go through all of it, you don't have chance to acknowledge the fact that yeah, all those accolades have come through, and all of which I'm really grateful for, and equally they're all a testament to like not just myself but the whole team of collaborators who sort of made the film.
Mm,
um yeah, I mean, I think it's been great. I think everything helps in terms of trying to move the needle and get this film to the people it needs to be with. But sometimes you feel you can't you're never going to be able to do enough in some instances. Obviously, this is an independent film.
of
It's
course.
small in nature in comparison to what a lot of what we actually go to the cinema to watch. So, we really will take everything as much as possible. And I think that's probably why the strategy of going to festivals and stuff has been trying to maximize so people have enough time to try and hear about this film and be curious about this film. Me personally, I'm lucky because it came out in Nigeria, like, like last summer. So I've had a little bit of a taste of what that response is like in Nigeria, but in the UK, it's going to be completely different because it's like a second homecoming. I've lived most of my life here in the UK. I went to school here. My career started here. A lot of cinematic nuances and education all started here. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it means a lot. I've taken time out for sure. had to take a
That's
quick
good.
break to try and sort of rest and be ready for this sort of like last push. But yeah, I'm just really grateful, man. It's like it's nothing like it, but I guess the only analogy which is so far from, and I probably shouldn't use, is like it's like having a child. Like I'm sure it's nothing like it at all, but it's like raising this film with like all these collaborators and like pushing it out into the world and being like, okay, cool, like how is it going to stand on its own 2 feet? How is it going to respond to other people? How are other people going to respond to it? So I'm just excited for that. I'm excited for a theatrical release. Yeah, I'm just excited in general.
And I think
Yeah.
like what we get from this, because it is basically your child, it's such a big project. For me, My Father's Shadow, we see Akin and Remy kind of go on this journey that leaves like a lasting impression, much like a rite of passage. And the feature, you actually worked with your brother Wale.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine what it's like having your sibling work on a project. But what was the biggest learning curve having this child, your debut feature, be done with someone that you've grown up with?
I think it felt very safe. I felt very held, I think anybody who has an older sibling, I think, and has a good relationship with them, I think there's a certain level of protection and that affords me or affords people who have older siblings, because I feel like I'm able to really push myself creatively because I'm working with my brother, and hopefully I think he feels the same, vice versa. We're able to push each other. We're able to push how honest we're trying to be in the story. We're able to be the safeguards in how we're trying to in the information we're sort of mining for the story, how much we want to give, what should we hold back, what can be, what can be, yeah, what can be broadcast out to people in the story we're trying to tell. So yeah, it's been great. It's been really fortunate. I think my brother is also has a very successful career in music as well. So just borrowing from his like experience and expertise to be able to navigate some of the successes that the film has had has also been like very important to me as well, because it's been very overwhelming at times. But yeah, I mean, it is a journey, and I think family, like it says in the film, like family is super important. Family is super complicated, it's super messy, it's not always straightforward. Sometimes you struggle to understand the decisions that people who love you and care about you are having to make and having to navigate in their own mind. And I guess, yeah, sometimes it's just trying to give it some context so everything doesn't seem so black and white, that there's a lot of nuance and gray areas in the middle as to why certain decisions happen. But yeah, I love working with my brother. I can't wait to start writing the next film with him as well.
You've spoken about a lot of themes in this film. Just to me to be a little bit more transparent, like while watching this film, I cried my eyes out watching this.
Oh well.
With my personal experience, like last year, my father sadly passed away. So while
Oh,
watching this film, it was very touching, hearing the scene and story, and just opening like old rooms that I was like dealing with during the time, and of course now because I'm still dealing with the grief and style of things. So I wanted to just ask you in terms of like, of course, you've written this film along with your brother Wale, and of course, you've mentioned in past interviews that sadly your father passed at a very young age. How was
mm.
it the writing process with this film, with writing grief, but also while watching the film, there's a lot of comedy elements to it as well. So did you find it somewhat therapeutic for you to do this project, especially being your debut?
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, man, condolences, man. I think like
Thank you.
grief and loss is something that is quite hard to contextualize, I think maybe like, growing up in Nigeria, like we were quite privy to like grieving together, like, like people would come to your house and they'd sit. And I was too young to remember, but I see pictures of my father's passing and stuff, and I wasn't very cognizant of it. But I think what the film really served for my brother and I, when we're talking about grief and it being therapeutic, I think is just this idea of spending time with each other. I think because they're your family and because you see people every day or you grew up with them, and like they might, your dad or mom can be like a bit annoying, call me back and do this stuff. You realize that when you don't have those things, you want them more. I
Mm,
think I never really had a father, so but I've always been curious of what it's like. But I've always had a mother, and always trying to remember that like you have to be really present in these moments that are fleeting. Yeah, I mean, I think what was maybe more therapeutic was us being able to, when they say like the apple doesn't fall too far from a tree, I guess it's really trying to like investigate who we are as men, how we perform our masculinity, how we see the world, how we hold ourselves accountable for the type of masculinity we also perform, how we navigate the questions that like the siblings ask in the film, because maybe in some contexts those conversations don't happen the way they happen, in other households. But I think what we really wanted to do is like use this opportunity to just really question what we think it means to be a man by putting that type of masculinity on screen. It's complex, it's not simple, it's not straightforward, it's not pretty, it's definitely flawed and has a lot of mistakes and still makes mistakes. But I think fundamentally we were just trying to, yeah, just have a dialogue with ourselves through the portrayal of this person whose like shadow we've lived in terms of our father, and in terms of what everyone has always told us about our father, which are things we hear about ourselves. I think the therapy is more common in the process of like creating and shaping this film with other people, and realizing it's something that you have to share, realizing that grief is something that is probably best to be it's probably best that you share, that it's all right to be vulnerable, it's all right to be open about that vulnerability, it's all right to be yeah, it's all right to do that in the safety of people you love and care about, and letting them know how much they mean to you, and giving people their flowers when you see them as opposed to when they're gone and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's like grief. It's like once you think you're over it, you're not. Like you're always going to be going through with it. You're just going to form a relationship with it moving forward that becomes, yeah, that evolves into something that you can manage for yourself. There's never going to be a time where like you don't feel something for someone, but I think being able to work on it in a film, whilst it's for us, I think it's also for you, Junior. It's for you, Maz. It's for people who are Nigerian or people in the diaspora or Black people in general, because I think aspects of the film is kind of us grieving together. It's giving us permission to be able to grieve together in a cinema space, in a communal space, in an open space. And I think like being in the cinema, watching the film and seeing people feel the way I felt when reading the script or making the film, I think, yeah, I feel like it just humanizes like a lot of what we're going through and a lot of what we understand or don't understand, basically.
I think for me, I was expecting myself to be quite teary when watching My Father's Shadow. When I did actually cry. I'm a very like go-to crying in the cinema girly. So for me, I got exactly what I needed out of the experience, and it's very cathartic. But at the same time, it was such a beautiful story looking at it visually. One of the big things that I really appreciate was the cinematography, because it was so rich and warm despite these themes carrying throughout the film, where it's talking about political unrest or grief, what it is to be a man and these expectations you're fighting. And I was just kind of wondering, what were the films that inspired you as a director in the process of creating this world visually?
Yeah, I mean, great question, and I always want to reference incredible cinematographer Jermaine Edwards. It's his first film. He's an incredible talent, artist in his own right, and a lot of the beauty and what you see in the visuals of the film are a testament to him trusting himself and him just like coming along for the journey and contributing in his own right. He sent me a lot of films. When we had a lot of conversation about films, I think his references are probably slightly different to mine, but I think the film I can remember is like, I think it was a film called We Are Animals or something like that. I can't quite remember, but it was about these like three boys who are like running around and being like very sort of wild. But I think the films that inspired me personally, for My Father's Shadow. Do you want My Father's Shadow or just in life in general?
I mean, if we could do both, I would, but I know I'm going to get told off for time. So let's go for My Father's Shadow.
So for My Father's Shadow, it's like bicycle thieves, shoplifters, a film called Mustang, a film called Mandabi. I have to say Clockers, the way Clockers looks. I have to say Belly, the way Belly looks as well. For me, films that like influence me in general on a sort of like wider thing are, my favorite film is The Sound of Music, which is like a musical. It's very political. It's about family. I would maybe say filmmakers that influence me, or someone like Steven Spielberg. My favorite film of his is like Saving Private Ryan. And I say Spielberg to say because I feel like his films everyone could watch. Like grandparents, parents, like young teenagers could go to the cinema and get a similar experience. And that's what I want for My Father's Shadow. For our parents to be able to go and watch, our grandparents, like my younger nieces and nephew, to be able to watch the film and understand it. Because for me, like I don't necessarily believe in this tag of like being auteur. Because I believe that like I want my films to be accessible by everyone. I don't want to make like niche films that like are only for cinephiles. I want people to be able to watch my films. I want people to be able to understand my films. I want them I want there to be like an easy point of access basically to the sort of film. So I would probably say him, and then lastly, on a very personal note, two people I have to mention are probably like Mati Diop and Ava DuVernay. Mati, because I think Mati Atlantics is kind of like this sort of almost like the blueprint for the sort of new stories that I feel like we can sort of tell, and just doubling down in our culture and our language, and not feeling like we have to sort of like appease a particular type of audience, maybe due to pressure or whatever, because I think that enables people to be more curious about us as opposed to like watering it down for them. And I would probably say Ava DuVernay, because she started making films like 38 or 39, and she'd had a long career in like distribution and marketing and all that kind of stuff. And for me, like listening to her story really like galvanized me, because I was like, I'm 40 now, and I was probably around the same age where in the, shooting my film at 39, being like, oh, have I left it too late? But she's had an incredible career. So if I can have a fraction of the career she's had, I'd be really happy. But it's also just another reminder to anyone to like nothing easy comes overnight. Like a lot of success takes like years and years in the making, with loads of really like wonderful people. So it's just like, yeah, stay the course type thing.
Nice. Unfortunately, we do have to call it a day, but Akinola, it was a pleasure talking to you. My Father's Shadow will be out in cinemas from the 6th of February. I do implore everyone to go watch it. It is a beautiful, sad, and also funny film to watch. So, thank you, Enola, for giving us this time. You've been joined by myself, Junior, and Maz from the Outtake Show. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just say thank you both for your wonderful questions, and thank you for having me on your platform. Please, anybody who watches the film, feel free to leave a comment on Letterbox. I read all the letterboxes for My Father's Shadow, and sometimes I even like click a little like, but my profile is hidden. But yeah, I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you so much.
No
Thank
worries. Check out my Letterboxd review because I probably cried in it.
I'll go find it now, Maz.
you.
Awesome.
Cool. Cheers, guys.